Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's E-G-G-B-U-R-T, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
Okay, a carryover from the segment before is from A Block. We're now in B Block. And for those of you listening online, it doesn't make not real time. If you're listening on the podcast channel or if you're listening on YouTube, it doesn't make any sense. But in the previous block, we were talking about the fact that there was all this crime over the 4th of July, all these people shot, and Tishaura Jones essentially is going, hey, not my problem. Okay, and I brought up the fact, and the guy's name is, ready for this, John?
I'm ready.
His screen name is SlickStevie, okay? SlickStevie, if you go to YouTube and STEVIE, you can find him, okay? Young guy, I'd probably say mid to late 20s, married, got an attractive wife, and his videos are mainly him and his wife sort of talking back and forth. And he's a car guy. He's got all sorts of crazy cars, and, you know, and it's just like every day is a little bit slice of life with him and his wife, okay? Mm-hmm. You know how you get suggestions, the algorithm gods when you go on to YouTube or whatever, Facebook, and you get suggestions, and you start watching these things. This one pops up where him and his wife, they're in a hotel room, and they're looking out the window, and it looks like a downtown hotel room. I don't know where he's from. He's not from the St. Louis area. But he essentially looks at the camera and says, hey, we're in St. Louis, and talks about how... well, they don't know if they like it or not. And they're in St. Louis because of the fact they were invited. Their trip was paid for by First Form. Now, do you know who First Form is?
Yeah, they're a giant supplement company.
Right.
Yeah.
Located right here in St. Louis. As a matter of fact, started by a guy, I believe his name is, I know he's one of the Frisella crowd, but I believe his name is Andy Frisella, okay? And even to the point where, and in full disclosure, we've done advertising for them because we did a bunch of different ads for several years, probably about 3 or 4 ads for their retail locations called Supplement Superstores. Superstores.
S squared.
Right, is a retail outlet, and First Form has gotten so big. I don't know if you know this or not. They built their own big monster building out there in Fenton, where the Chrysler plant used to be. Did you know this?
I didn't know that, no.
They have a huge building out there, okay? So he was invited in town, SlickStevie and his wife, invited in town for something with First Form. I don't know what, if they meet and greet or something like that. And they do the video, and it's not very long. It's like, maybe 45, 50 seconds. And at the end of the video, they talk about how they hate St. Louis, how they didn't like it, and they're glad to be leaving and glad to be going back home.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, once again, here's an influencer who I'm looking at this right here. He has 1.9 million subscribers. So not obviously all 1.9 million of his subscribers saw that video, but let's say a quarter of them did. 500,000 people saw him in a hotel, looking out the window of a downtown hotel room, and then him talking about how they didn't like it and they felt unsafe and stuff like that. I mean, once again, Steve Elman, I like you. Mike Elam, I like you, but St. Louis is dead. Forget about it. There's nothing you're going to be able to do that's going to change it. And a perfect example is this thing that happened a couple months ago where they had the crime summit, and Tishaura Jones, instead of working with people who want to help the city, want to help the fact that once again in the view of Steve Elman and Mike Elam, once again it's a region. It's not St. Charles or St. Peter's or Ladue or Cahokia. It's a region, but it's not, because once again there's good parts and there's bad parts. And once again, branding 101, marketing 101, if you got a product, like right now with Bear, if you got a product that ain't really helping the bottom line, maybe hurting your reputation, what do?
Sell it to China.
Right, you get rid of
Sell it to Syngenta. Right. I thought the exact same thing over the weekend. And I thought of the fact, if you take, let's say, in Hazelwood, there will be in late June 2025, there will be a black family in Hazelwood where the kids will say, hey, Dad, Mom, I want to let's go down to the fair. Let's go downtown this weekend. Let's go watch the fireworks. And the dad or the mom will say, oh, hell no. Did you see what happened last year? Let's go to the riverfront in St. Charles. Let's go somewhere safe. Let's go somewhere civilized. So this isn't about race. It's not about class. It's about, do you want to take your kids or yourself to an area where it's complete lawlessness? Did you check out any of the videos that were posted, Brad?
It was crazy time. It was just crazy stuff.
It was nuts, Brad. And can you imagine if you had your kids down there? And can you imagine trying to walk? Now, I know that a lot of this happened way late at night and families had already left, for sure. But could you imagine being trapped down there and trying to walk through those crowds?
Okay. Now, I'm going to give an extreme example. You know how you solve this kind of a problem?
How's that?
When something like that happens, you have a bunch of police officers get out of their squad cars with their ARs and their Remington 870 pump-action shotguns and just start walking toward these quote-unquote less-than-model citizens. And maybe the shotgun guys, because you don't necessarily want to shoot a bullet up in the air because it comes down somewhere. But the shotgun-toting police officers, I don't know if they're still, it's to a point. They used to be, they called the riot gun. I don't know if they're doing that much anymore. I know some of the police officers have both a shotgun and an AR in their cars. Fire a couple rounds of the shotgun in the air and say, hey, you MFers, we're coming for you. Get the hell out of here. And guess what would happen? They would all disappear. But
they would, but we don't have the officers, Brad.
Well, nor would they do that, because then it would be like Channel 5. Oh, a disturbing thing happened in downtown St. Louis, where a phalanx of police officers, formed a line and marched toward these innocent people who were shooting everybody with their guns. God.
I don't know. I think it would be a good week for it because St. Louis Public Radio is off, Brad. So you wouldn't have the NPR types doing the, can you believe the phalanx of officers? They wouldn't even be there to know about it.
John, here we go once again. Okay, you get me started on crap. You do stuff like this on purpose. I know you do.
It's intentional. By the way, Diane Rehm just rolled over in her grave, if you hear the rumble.
Okay. Hey, let's take a look at this. STLPR.org, okay? Look at all the stories.
There's a reparations article. Now, to their credit, I would point out, Jason Rosenbaum, I hope I'm not talking out of school here, but Jason recorded a whole bunch of candidate interviews in the last few weeks with Secretary of State candidates. And so they will be playing, I believe, more of them will be playing over the week. Jamie Corley, who was a candidate for Secretary of State, Jason sat down with her. Jason and one of his, the seat warmer, that is working next to him now, sat down with Jamie Corley, who's running for Secretary of State, and Jamie talked about her campaign. But so that's up today, Brad. I have a link to that on my website.
Who is the seat warmer?
It used to be let's see, Sarah Kellogg. I had my cereals confused. Yeah, it's someone named and Jason is very gracious. Jason lets this woman ask questions once in a while, and it'll look good on her resume whenever she goes to a bigger city. But anyway, Jason talked to Jamie Corley about her state Secretary of State race, and so some more of those interviews for those candidates will be appearing over the week.
Okay, I'm going to take a picture. Speaking of candidates, I'm going to take a picture. Let's go a couple different directions here. I'm going to take a picture of a billboard for Crystal Quade. And I'm going to send you this picture, and I'm going to say to you, John, explain to me what the hell this billboard means.
Ooh, I'd love to. Are you going to text it to me now?
Well, I don't have the picture. I've seen it as I've driven by on the highway. I need to drive by and pull off the highway and take a picture of this particular billboard.
Is it near a giant white cake shop?
No. No, okay. But it's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. It's to the point where I'm going like, okay, me as a guy, not the expert like you, but me as a guy who, knows more about politics than the average bear. I saw this billboard for the first time, and I thought to myself, I have no idea what that means. And I went by it a second time and a third time, and I'm going like, I don't quite understand it. I mean, it's to the point where, some brilliant, political tactician says, hey, Crystal, we've got the campaign that's going to, everybody's talking about all these people, about Jay and about Bill and Mike running for governor. We're going to run the ad campaign that's going to make you the next governor. And I'm going like...
And where was it, Brad?
Well, I've seen it on 170, and I think I saw it on 70 as well too.
That's an industrial area. So is it about big giant dump trucks?
No, it's the damnedest thing. I'll send you a picture of it later this morning.
Okay,
we can talk about it tomorrow. Okay, we talked about the city of St. Louis thing. Okay, this caught my eye. National news. Okay, here's the headline: Mob ravages California mini-mart during flash robbery near airport. Shocking video shows. Here is a mini-mart. This is like a gas station kind of thing. There must be 40 people in this place. The video, the video of it, the security video. They're literally ransacking this gas mini-mart near San Francisco Bay in Oakland International Airport. And it says Sam Mardi, the owner of the 76 gas station mini market on Hagenberger Road, told the local Fox affiliate that the thieves estimated $100,000 in damage at the store, and that they threatened 2 employees working at the time. Okay, now the interesting part of it is, this is like one of these flash mob kind of things. And the crazy thing about it is, he says, get ready for this. You think we got problems here in St. Louis. He also told the news station, this is Fox 2 in Oakland, it took 9 hours for police to respond after the crime was first classified as priority 2, meaning there were no suspects at the location. There were 40 people tearing this place apart. I mean, you see this video, they're literally going through all the coolers, they're ripping stuff off the walls. It looks like a bomb blew up on the place. It took 9 hours for the police department to show up. Now, they talk about problems in Oakland, but yet, once again, can you draw any similarities between St. Louis and Oakland? And the problem there in Oakland? Guess what? They don't have enough of. You know what they don't have enough of?
Enough police officers.
You're darn tootin' right. And once again, it's to the point where what starts to happen is, why do businesses not want to locate in Oakland, or for that matter, in downtown St. Louis? Because of the fact that there's been some stories recently where some of these businesses that are on like the south side, like the near Soulard area, some of these guys have been broken into 2 and 3 times so far this year. And you go like, okay, and here's the interesting thing for me. You talk about photo ops, okay? You talk about, and you know this from your situation being the corporate guy, the comms guy from Monsanto, okay? How many times was there an instance where you were involved with something where you thought it might be a good idea, where the head of this department would show up in a cornfield with Farmer Joe? Did you ever do that before?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
So what you do is you hire a photographer, maybe a videographer as well too. You bring along Joe Smith, who's the head of crop, boll weevil protection and stuff like that, and you put him face to face in front of Farmer Jones in his crop, and you put together the piece to go like, Monsanto is concerned about the prevalence of boll weevils in the cotton crop. Our executive vice president in charge of boll weevil protection, recently, toured southeast Missouri, and talked to the boll. So what should be happening is Tishaura Jones should be showing up at these people's businesses that have been ravaged by these burglars and things like that at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and essentially standing in front with the police officer, maybe with the chief, and saying, you know what, I'm the mayor of St. Louis, and we're not putting up with this anymore. But have you ever seen that, John?
I haven't, but hold on. Let me come to Tishaura's defense real quick. First of all, you don't know the rehearsal schedule for Muni Productions. So you don't know what it takes to do a walk-on at the Muni, Brad, with all due respect.
Is that this week she's on, or is it next week, or is it last week?
Oh, no, she was on, it was late June. I think she's done. And so I imagine after all that, she's probably resting. According to her necklace, she is in charge, however. So I don't know if that means that she's stage director at the Muni or not. Brad, can we talk bluntly about this? And I haven't seen the San Francisco video and the San Francisco/Oakland. But is there anybody in the elderly Asian female community that's going to step up and say, we have trouble with elderly Asian females, their lack of respect for the law, their willingness to break in, disregard personal property, and commit these crimes? I don't see any elderly Asian female leaders stepping up the way they should, Brad.
So what you're saying is this Oakland mini-mart was ravaged by 40 elderly Asian women? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. And I think some of them were middle-aged. I don't think all of them were elderly, because the elderly sometimes have trouble shuffling out. But if you know that the police aren't there, then you can just kind of shuffle away. But I don't know, Brad. There's something that just tells me that maybe there is no solution for middle-aged and elderly Asian females. You know, they're fine when you get them just a few together, but when they start taking over a neighborhood, Brad, you have issues like you have in San Francisco. I don't know why we can't get elderly Asian females under control, Brad.
John is firmly implanting his tongue into his cheek.
I haven't seen the video. And I know I'm stereotyping by saying they're going to be Asian females, Brad. But who was committing the crimes downtown, Brad?
Well,
in St. Louis? So were they not Asian females?
Well, you know what? You know what, John?
We need more Panda Express. Is that the answer?
No. You know what you're exposing?
Oh, what's that?
Ancient Chinese secret.
That's what you're exposing.
Oh, most honorable.
We have to take a break.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?